Hey everyone, Theron Asbury here with Revital Outdoors, bringing you another exciting podcast. Tonight we're going back to the great state of Arkansas. It's where I went to college. I love all those lakes there. Fished the Arkie division several years. I was a college angler there. Just a lot of great diversity among the lakes. But tonight we're going to talk to Mr. Matt Wood. Matt got second place, runner-up last year in the Arkie division tournament on Greers Ferry. So we're very excited to talk to Matt this evening. He's going to give us some ideas on how he got second place last year, and then moving forward, what he predicts for this year. Before we get started, as always, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you get notified when all of our content is dropping. Also, check us out on Facebook and Instagram. That's going to be Revital Outdoors. And if you've never heard of Revital Outdoors, we're a premium CBD company. We provide premium CBD products to all the outdoor enthusiasts. So whether you're a hunting or fishing enthusiast, our products are made to help you. They're THC-free, made right here in America. So check out all of our products on our website. You can purchase them there. Also, if you're a tournament angler or an avid hunter in the outdoors, or someone that's just really dedicated to the outdoors and you feel like you would be a great representative of Revital Outdoors, please check out our Pro Staff tab, fill out the Pro Staff application, and we'd love to give that a review and get you welcome to Team Revital. So that being said, I've already talked to Matt a little bit. Very excited for this podcast. Matt Wood, how you doing this evening, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming on to the podcast this evening. Man, let's just get right into it. You and I were chatting right before the podcast. You're a wealth of knowledge in fishing. You've been doing it a long time. Very technical, detailed on how you fish. So let's talk about Greers Ferry a little bit. You know, Greers Ferry, I feel like, doesn't get a whole lot of love in the state of Arkansas, but it's a very strong lake, great tournament lake. So what clicks for you on Greers?
Yeah, so first off, I want to say thanks for having me. Greers Ferry is about 2 hours north of me. I don't fish it near as much as I should. It does have a lot of fish. You can catch smallmouth. You can catch all three. You can have a trifecta when you come in: smallmouth, Kentucky, and largemouth. Last year, to compete in a tournament, most of the time you need largemouth, and that's tough to do. And last year, I was just lucky enough to catch five quality largemouth. Didn't think I had a shot at second place until I come in and I spoke to my dad on the phone as I'm idling in, and he's like 13 pounds is leading. I'm like, well, dang, I keep a running total in my boat with my Rapala scale, and I knew I was close to that. And so, I guess setting up that tournament, I don't go up there a whole lot. I haven't fished it just too much in my life, to be honest. It's super deep and super clear. I live, 15 minutes from Lake Ouachita, and that sets up the same. So I kind of just, the only thing is it doesn't have grass like Ouachita does. But we fished a team tournament, I guess, 2 weeks prior. And we went up there and practiced on Friday, and then we fished the tournament Saturday. And we did decent. I think we got top 20 or something like that. But you always have your regrets on your way home. We're thinking, what could we have done different? And I said, I think we probably should have just picked up a mag draft, a Megabass mag draft. I've got one right here. It's just the 6-inch mag draft. And it's a very difficult bait to throw because it doesn't get a whole lot of bites, so you lose interest in it very quickly. And so when the BFL come around, I wasn't going to stay up there the night before, so I just said, I'm going to go off of what I learned 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to go back, and if it works, it works. If not, we'll play it by ear and try to figure it out. But took off that morning, ran to a bank that we had found 2 weeks prior, and pulled in. The wind was blowing, decently hard on it, picked up a mag draft. And within, 20 minutes, I probably caught a good keeper. And that, once you catch that first fish with that bait, you got the confidence to not put it down. And I literally threw it all day long. I ran that bank. It was about a mile stretch. And I think I caught 5 keepers down it the first time, went back, maybe called up once, twice. A lot. I find out what the deal is during the tournament, and then I have to rely on my graph to tell me, I can just look at it. Okay, the wind's blowing out south. This is that bank kind of sets up the same depth. Let's run over there. And I do that a lot, and I don't think it's a bad thing. Once you get keyed in, you can really, clue in on those fish and just run it really fast and have so much confidence that you're going to catch more fish than not when you have that confidence. We ran to another bank, and it was solid white bass for at least 300 yards. I was throwing the mag draft. I was catching. The only thing, getting a bite every cast, but the only thing that could eat it was a hybrid. And then my co-angler was throwing an Alabama rig behind me, and he caught 2 white bass at a time for at least 20 casts. And his swim baits held up, and that was just amazing to me. But never did find anything else. We ran back to that bank, couldn't get nothing going. With like 5 minutes to go, I thought we need to get closer to weigh in because I'm not familiar with that lake. So I ran back up there, seen a point that's just nobody was sitting on. So I ran over there. I said, this sets up perfect. Throw up there, catch my last one that I felt like I needed. Cold, threw me the live one. So we got to go. Ran to the weigh in, and that's how that day ended. I caught all 5 fish on a mag draft, and it just worked out. But I have had tournaments where I've thrown that mag draft the same, and you don't get a bite all day. So to compare, that you can say go out there and do it, it's just you got to have the feeling and got to have the confidence, fish the conditions. You definitely have to have wind for that bait. It's not a slick water bait. But Greers Ferry, it has smallmouth. I really like Table Rock. I do really well there. I fished some Toyotas there, had some success, and I strictly throw a single swim bait up there or an A rig. But typically a single swim bait is going to get you bites more. And I've got one right here. This is just a Kitech. This is a 3.3. I'll alternate between, the size, trying to match the forge. The one key that I do see on the single swim bait is I always throw the ball head on it. And the reason I do that, and if you watch my TikToks, you would see some of my tip videos on this, but the ball head lets the bait fall straight down just like a BB in the water. And that lets the bait fall straight, and the fish will a lot of times go over there and grab it when it's sinking. You'll throw out and let it sink down, and you'll pick up, and you're like, oh, man, I've got one on already. And I think that is because the bait is falling straight down, and it just triggers them. Where if you go with like a shad profile type head, it lets the bait fall sideways, or it might dart off one way or the other, and it doesn't fall just straight, and you don't tend to get those bites where they grab it. I will use that shad-shaped head on an A-rig or something because it's a different bait altogether. But the one thing I tell people, they ask me all the time, what color swim bait do you throw? Because I have a lot of success with the swim bait, and it's Pro Blue, Red Pearl if I'm fishing Lake Cumberland, or if I'm fishing Lake Hamilton here in Arkansas, Washington. It does not matter. That is my confidence color. And I'll tell them that color because, and it's probably hurt me because it's harder to get nowadays around here, but it comes down to confidence, man. I don't think the color is that big of a deal. I've said that my whole entire life. You hear green pumpkin catches them, and I'm sure it does because you have confidence in that color. So to me, Pro Blue, Red Pearl is my color. That's what I like to throw. That's what I've caught them on. But if you have Tennessee shad, whatever, just throw it, man. You got to have confidence in what you throw. But this time of year, going back to Greers Ferry, this time of year, you're gonna, I always keep a rattle trap honest. This is just a Strike King red eye shad. That's one of my favorite baits to throw. I actually won a BFL throwing that. You can cover water super quick and also staying on that same pattern. Covering water, I love to throw a chatterbait. This is just a Strike King Thunder Cricket white. I love to throw white shad color this time of year. Most of the fish are. If I throw that, I throw the chatterbait in the flats, the back of pockets where you got shad schooled up, maybe where you might throw a spinnerbait or something. Greers Ferry has a whole lot of flooded buck brush, so you can really go through and pick out targets. And those fish are getting ready to spawn. The water temperature might not be right, but the time of the length of the day is getting longer, and that's what those fish, they focus on that a whole lot, is just as much as they do the temperature. But the shad or the white colored chatterbait, you can just throw it around, cover a whole lot of water, and you can what I call locate. It's a locating bait, same as a rattle trap. A lot of times these fish are schooled up. I use the Thunder Cricket as a locator, especially on flats, back of pockets. You can fan cast it. You catch one, you better throw back there again because, as you hear several pros say, the best place to catch your next fish is where you caught your last one. And so you find that a lot with the chatterbait. You can throw it and catch a lot of fish out of the same area. And then also going on to a bait that it's hard for me to throw because I move fast. I'm a running gun type of guy, but a Carolina rig on Greers Ferry just gets bit. This is a Zoom. This is the brush hog, just medium brush hog or mid-size, they call it. It came out last year before. Really great bait to throw on a Carolina rig. You got Greers Ferry has a whole lot of flat, rocky points. What I ran into last year was there was a lot of what I call slime or, just not the right type of grass you're looking for. If I brought that in on the weight, I just moved areas because it was, to me, those fish don't want to be around that. If you find fish that are relating to the bottom, like a Carolina rig, they usually keep the rocks cleaned off. And so you're going to feel a hard return on your weight, and you're not going to get the slime. Kind of like a shell bed, I guess. I've learned that over the years. You can, as you're reeling through shell beds, you'll feel when it gets really, really hard and rocky or rough, you get your bites. And I think that's because the fish are actually occupying that area, keeping the bottom clean. So what I look for on Greers Ferry or any place where I'm throwing a bait on the bottom is a smooth bottom. Give me rock or whatever, but just not the slime everywhere. Same with a brush pile. If you come up on a brush pile and it's got slime in it, I typically move on because I just historically don't catch fish out of those brush piles. It's just infested and fish don't want to be around it for some reason.
Right. I am curious about this mag draft. What kind of setup do you throw it on?
So the mag draft I throw on a 7-foot or a 7'1" Abu Garcia Veritas, medium heavy. I throw it on a shorter rod, but it's still got a stiffer kind of forgiving tip. I always try to have a little bit forgiveness when I'm throwing a treble hook bait because you don't want to rip it out of their mouth. And then I throw it on a Revo, an Abu Garcia Revo STX. It's the high speed. I think it's 8-to-1 gear ratio, something like that. And the reason I do that is because that bait is only effective in a certain area of the bank. And what I mean by that is you don't have to parallel the bank because in the BFL, you got a co-angler, and I never handicap my co-angler. I always try to give them enough room. I'm generous. If they want the baits, whatever, I'll give it to them. I don't care. But I kind of 45 the bank. But your target area that you're targeting with that mag draft is going to be, 10 to 15 foot off the bank is getting pretty far out. And with that high speed reel, once I get out of that strike zone, I can burn it in and get it back up there. But whenever you're fishing it, it is very key to fish it slow and at a steady rate. And if you ever get a bite on one, it's the most addicting thing ever because you're just reeling and all of a sudden your line just goes slack and you can just rear down and set the hook on them because you know they're going to be there. But the only thing I modify on it is the hook. I exchange that out with just a owner 2-aught or 1-aught hook, whatever. I just replace this hook with an owner. And that is simply mental. The one out of the package works. Chris Zaldane says he straightens one hook out to hold it up in the bait better. I've done that. I lose confidence. And anytime I lose confidence, I go back to that again. I harp on confidence. Anytime I lose confidence, I'm not going to fish it effectively. I've always got that in my mind, like, hey, that hook's messed up. I don't like that. So to me, I do what works. And I tell fishermen that all the time. Do what you have confidence in. If you're up on Greers Ferry and you can't get a bite and you have confidence in a wacky worm or a spinnerbait or something, pick it up and throw it because you're more likely going to catch fish on that than what you hear people talking about and, just going down the bank, just casting along. So confidence is key to me. And speaking of wacky worm, this is just a Strike King Ocho. Skip it around. There's a few docks out there. One thing I will say that we learned on Greers Ferry was the team tournament we fished the weekend before. We go into a marina and it was easy. On a swimbait, we could just catch them. We're like, man, we've got it figured out. Well, then the day of the tournament, it was like the state regulations prevent you from fishing any commercial marina. No, within 50 foot of any commercial marina. So
that's why those fish were there.
That's why those fish were. We're like, okay, that's why it was so easy. It's funny. Arkansas is divided in the Vicksburg district of the Corps and the Little Rock district. Well, Hamilton and Washita were in the Little Rock, or Hamilton and Washita are in the Vicksburg district, so you can fish marinas. Greers Ferry is in the Little Rock district, and so is the Table Rock that comes into the Arkansas. It is in the Little Rock district, and you cannot fish commercial marinas. So that is a key note if you go up there and practice Greers Ferry.
Okay, I got you. So what kind of difference between last year to this year? Do you suspect those fish will be up shallow thinking about that spawn again? Do you think the weights will be any different this year? I know you guys have gotten a lot of weather this year, so there could be a little color in Greers Ferry. What's your predictions on all that?
Yeah, so, last year the team tournament 2 weeks prior was the beginning of April, which will be the exact time that we were going to be there for this BFL. And it was 17 pounds one. Now it's a team tournament. You got two people catching fish, I know, but the BFL kind of fell off. This year is kind of weird because we're in a holding pattern of hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. So these
Mm-hmm.
fish move up, and then, they always say once the fish move up, the water gets 55, 56, they're not leaving. But they might not leave. But we fished a tournament this weekend, and we could not get a fish to bite shallow because they hit a cold. And those fish might be there, but because they might not leave like you hear, but they don't bite.
They just slipped off a little bit.
I don't know what they do. If I could ever figure that one out, I could be really dangerous because it seems like the weather is always a thing. But yeah, color in the water is always what I look for. That's one thing I will say I look for when I throw the mag draft. I don't like super clear water. I don't like super chocolate milk water. It's kind of a weird color you're looking for, and like I said, wind. So we got rain today. We're gonna get rain. Supposedly quite a bit of rain this weekend or Friday. So I don't know what that's going to do. But if it turns off another cold front, those fish up shallow may not fire. And like you said, you might have to fish offshore. And at that point, I'd probably pick up a rattle trap or something and kind of fish off the bank, let it get down, try to rip it off the bottom, something like that.
Okay. Before we let you go, Matt, let's change it up a little bit. What about a co-angler that's maybe watching this? What would you suggest to them to be successful on Greers Ferry?
Yeah, so funny enough with BFLs, I see this a lot, and I tell this to every co-angler that asks me questions about how to be successful as a co-angler. Bring 3, 4, 5 rods, whatever, that's fine, but don't sit there and retie all day. I see that so much. They see me catching fish, and they're just constantly retying, trying to mimic me. And then I fish with some really good co-anglers, and those guys are the guys that bring what they have confidence in, and they fish it all day. They don't sit down there and retie all day. They sit there and they fish, which is what you need to be doing. And most of them are going to be throwing a finesse tactic that I see the most success. So a shaky head, the wacky rig that I mentioned. It's very hard to fish a mag draft behind me or an A rig behind me, because I'm most likely going to catch that fish. So as a co-angler, you need to be throwing a smaller jig or maybe even a Carolina rig. You hear a lot of co-anglers. I know a lot of co-anglers. I'm friends with them. Have nothing against co-anglers. They're really great people, and I mean they're there to help me, and I help them. I hear from several of them. They throw straight behind the boat and just let it be dragging, and they'll catch one. Especially if on Greers Ferry, you're going to have a lot of pros that are going to be paralleling the bank, and it handicaps them. They might get disappointed. But I hear a lot of people that do that, and they just throw straight behind the boat as a co-angler, and they catch fish because the fish might be off the bank, So don't ever get discouraged and fish your confidence baits, and just please quit retying so much, because that right there hurts you a lot. I'll assure you.
Absolutely. Well, Matt, you've given us a lot of great information about Greers Ferry. You really dived into a lot of great baits and really diverse baits too. So it's really great to talk to someone that really knows a lot of different established patterns on Greers Ferry. Before we let you go, I know you got a lot of people that support you, a great family, great sponsor base. I know you're heavily involved with social media. You have even a company of your own. So any last thoughts before we let you go? Any thank yous of people that support you?
Yeah, so I just want to thank my family, my fiance. They support me. I fish way more than I should, but she shows up to every tournament that she possibly can at the weigh-in, and she's there with our dog Ivy Mae. And follow me on social media. I'm heavily on Facebook, just Matt Wood or M Wood Fishing. I have both pages there. All of my social media is going to be M Wood Fishing. TikTok is where I'm most active. You're going to get a lot of tips. I break down these baits. I don't hold anything back. I share everything that I learn, and take advantage of that, especially if you're younger right now. You can advance your knowledge of fishing so much right now, because the YouTube, the TikTok deal is a great deal to learn from. And so M Wood Fishing on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, that's where you'll find me.
Fantastic. Well, Matt, really appreciate you coming on board to be on our podcast. Again, congratulations on your finish last year. I can only hope that it foreshadows a great event for you this year. Maybe we walk away with that W. And, man, that would be really awesome, because I can already tell we'd love to have you back onto this podcast. You really dive into it. So wish you all the best of luck this year. And you never know, we may be talking to you again before the year's up.
I sure hope so, and I really appreciate the time.
Absolutely. So from all of us at Revital Outdoors, you've been talking to Mr. Matt Wood, Arkansas angler, finished second place last year at the Greers Ferry BFL tournament in the Arkie division. Good luck to you, Matt. All of the Arkansas anglers this year fishing the BFLs. all of the anglers in general that are fishing with Major League Fishing. Just good luck to you. And guys, once again, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Go ahead and follow Matt Wood as well and follow his fishing success and check him out on TikTok. From all of us at Revital Outdoors, I'm Theron Asbury. Thank you for tuning into this podcast. God bless. Be safe out there, and we'll talk to everyone very, very soon.